Hello, and welcome to Adapt or Perish, episode 23, Dial M for a Perfect Murder. As always, before we get to that, let's talk about our next episode. In honor of our recent Parisian travels, we're examining Antoine de Saint-Exupéry's classic novella, The Little Prince. We read the book and watched 3 different adaptations, and they couldn't have been more different from each other. And this episode will definitely get added to the ever-growing list of things that make Jeremy cry. That's in 2 weeks. From the corrections department, 2 of our listeners sent this in regarding last week's episode on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. In the episode, we mentioned both the 2005 Charlie and the Chocolate Factory starring Johnny Depp and Freddie Highmore, as well as Finding Neverland, also starring Johnny Depp and Freddie Highmore. I wasn't sure at all which came out first, and Ariel was fairly sure that Finding Neverland came out after Charlie. Turns out we got that wrong. Finding Neverland was released in 2004 and very likely led to Freddie Highmore being cast alongside Johnny Depp in 2005's Chocolate Factory adaptation. That correction comes from Stacy and Justin. On to your West Wing update. After a break of a few weeks, I'm back into it. I'm almost at the end of season 4, and Chandler Bing just showed up, so I'm assuming the Bartlett administration's gonna get just a little wackier. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections that you'd like to hear on the show, remember to email adaptorperishcast@gmail.com or tweet at us using the AdaptCast hashtag. And with that, on with the show. Alfred Hitchcock's Dial M for Murder and Andrew Davis's A Perfect Murder. Welcome to Adapt or Perish, a podcast about adaptation. My name is Jeremy Latour.
And I'm Ariel Lipshaw.
Oh, and we have no time to waste. There's too many twists and turns.
So many.
So much plot that we have to get through.
Let's get right into it.
Do you want to do banter? I don't think we have time to do banter.
No, we cannot do banter. This is a very serious topic. We're going to talk about murder. And murder.
And how to get it done.
Yeah. So I think we, any banter, any witty banter of our usual caliber would just be disrespectful of the topic of the day.
It would be incredibly inappropriate.
Yeah.
This episode is just Alfred Hitchcock, murder, and how to do it.
Yay!
Murder
how to do
and
it
you.
How to do it bad. How to do bad at murder.
But it's a perfect murder. How is it bad?
They did a bad job.
Doesn't it go well every time?
Well, let's get into it.
Has Hitchcock ever made a movie about a murder that went perfectly?
I mean, that would be a pretty boring movie.
Yeah, it would be.
It would just be like, a guy's dead.
Well,
we don't know how it happened.
I don't know. Do you have a hunch, Johnson?
It would just be a detective standing over a dead body going, huh? I don't know.
Yeah. How's he doing? He's super dead.
So murder.
So actually,
murder is the order of the day.
Before we get to it,
yes.
We were talking about this earlier, and you were telling me about how you think this is an important episode for us to be doing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So when we started this podcast, one of the things that we felt was important for some reason was that we only wanted to do things that one or the other of us was very passionate about. We had to really be passionate about it. And we realized quickly that if we held ourselves to that standard, we would very soon run out of topics.
Because we both love a lot of stuff.
We love a lot of stuff, but not all of it is adaptation stuff. And of that, not all of it necessarily suits itself for this podcast.
Yeah.
So we realized
Also, and I'm not sorry to interrupt, but like one of the things I love is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
And that's a bunch of things that I love, but it makes one episode.
Right. We already did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all in one.
Right. So we realized we had to kind of expand our back catalog from things we really wanted to do to things we think we probably should do.
Or even things we probably could do.
Yes, exactly. And the other thing, too, is that I don't know about you, but reading a lot of books and watching a lot of movies takes a lot of time.
Yes.
And so we realized we needed to find properties where we could just watch 2 movies as a little bit of a break in between reading a long ass book and watching 12 different mini-series about it.
Which we still want to do.
Which we are still going to continue to do, but we need to kind of spread it out. Anyway, I'm kind of burying the lead on this. I'm making it sound like don't listen to this episode. It's just a shitty one we're doing in between the important stuff. That's not what I mean at all. I I think this is the part where we ordinarily talk about like our history with the thing and what it means to us. And so instead of doing that, I'm explaining that we have no history with the thing and it doesn't mean anything to us.
Are you sure? Do you want to ask me?
Do you have any history with Dial M for Murder or the 1998 film A Perfect Murder?
No, I do not. I mean, I'm glad we know.
Yeah, well, now we know.
Yeah.
Now we know. I had seen the movie A Perfect Murder.
I'd never even seen it.
I had seen it. I remembered very little about it, and I did not know it was based on Dial M for Murder.
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much just remember the sex scenes between Viggo Mortensen and Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh, the sexy sex scenes.
I was an impressionable child.
Yeah.
So we watched the 1954 Alfred Hitchcock film Dial M for Murder. I almost said The Perfect Murder, which is not the name of the 1954 film.
Dial M for a Perfect Murder.
Yes.
This is Perfect Murders.
Would you like to...
We'll come straight to you.
We're trying to do a podcast. That's fine.
Parking's not great. We're closed on Tuesdays.
Unmarked bills only, please. Would you like to describe in, I don't know, I think a minute or less is going to be hard, a couple minutes, the plot of Dial M for Murder? I almost said A Perfect Murder again.
Oh, no. Okay, before we get to that, though, I want to explore this world for a second.
You want to explore the space?
So if you're actually calling up a company that does perfect murders,
Oh, God.
if you're literally calling that up, do you think that's like an individual contractor, or do you think it's like a business, like a small business, or like a corporation? Basically, what I'm saying is, do you think you're getting someone's cell phone, or do you think you're getting like hold music?
Oh, no.
Like a phone tree?
I think it's like AAA. Like you call AAA, but the person they sent doesn't necessarily work for AAA. It's just somebody that they've contracted out to.
Do you need like an annual membership?
Yeah.
So, oh no, it's probably like AAA because like I got a flat tire, but my membership had lapsed. So
Yeah.
they would come that night, but it was going to cost me like twice as much as it would with AAA.
Yes.
Like they were going to charge me for a membership, but then also charge me on top of that.
I think we've gotten off the topic at hand.
No, this is the topic at hand.
This is now the topic.
All right, so let's talk about this movie from 1954.
A very good year. Do you know what happened in 1954?
What?
That was the year my dad was born,
Oh.
which makes this movie almost a senior citizen.
Oh, good. Oh, hey, Jeff, what's up? It was written by Frederick Knott, based on his... Now, this is funny because so many times I would see, like, based on his 1952 play.
Mm-hmm.
It was a TV play.
Right. It wasn't like a Broadway smash.
Like, it has been done on the stage, as is my understanding, but it was done for TV, and I couldn't find it anywhere. Like, it probably exists somewhere, but we looked kind of hard, not super hard, our normal amount. And we could not find it.
We like Googled it once.
I Googled it like 3 times,
Oh my
and
God.
I looked directly on YouTube.
So many times. And we don't normally do just like a movie adapted from a play. We kind of have a thing about the play as the original version and then the movie as the adaptation. You can't really like read a play and then watch a movie that it's based on and have any like intelligent commentary to say.
Yeah, it's like judging a movie based on its screenplay. You can't do that.
Yeah, so unless we can like see the original play and then the movie has something sort of more interesting about it, there's going to be exceptions, I'm sure, as we go on. But generally, we don't just do like straight adaptation play to movie because we don't really usually have any way of seeing the original play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a lot of disclaimers about like what we do and don't do on this podcast. I'm
Right.
sure this is like really good pod.
Oh, it sure is.
Yeah.
In fact, here's one more disclaimer.
Oh boy.
Let's do one last one. When we did, for example, Murder on the Orient Express,
Yes.
we stopped at the beginning and said, here's the deal. If you have never experienced any version of Murder on the Orient Express, pause the podcast, go watch some version of it so that you know what happens, and then come back and listen. In this episode, I'm not going to be as definitive as we were at that point. I will just say, if you haven't seen either of these, and you are interested in not having them spoiled, maybe pause and then go watch one of them.
But we don't necessarily feel strongly about it in the way that we felt strongly about Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yes,
Yes.
I agree with that.
Yes.
I don't think there are definitely a lot of like reveals and stuff like that, but none of them were like as earth-shattering as like a twist ending or something.
Yeah.
But if you do want to go in clean, this is now the time to pause. 3, 2, 1, pause.
And we're back.
Great. So let's talk about this movie. You already know some stuff about it because I keep getting off track. Let me tell you who's in it. And by way of doing that, we're going to go right to Back of the Box.
Dun dun dun. Back of the box. Dun,
So
dun,
I have-
dun. That's a bad theme tune.
It's It's better than no theme tune. So I'm going to read the back of the box from 1954's Dial M for Murder. Academy Award winners Grace Kelly and Ray Milland star with Robert Cummings in one of Alfred Hitchcock's greatest thrillers, Dial M for Murder. When Playboy tennis pro Tony Wendis, Milland, discovers his rich wife Margot, Kelly, is having an affair with handsome American Mark Halliday, Cummings, he devises an ingenious plot to murder her. But when his scheme takes an unexpected, deadly twist, Tony improvises, implicating Margot for first-degree murder in this classic spellbinder. I say that's pretty accurate.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah, it leaves out a lot, but that's kind of, that's to be expected.
I take exception to the word ingenious to describe his plan, but we'll get into it.
He believes he's devised an ingenious plan.
I mean, that's one man's opinion.
Yeah, it's like saying, I've crafted this beautiful bookcase. It is ingenious design, but it's made out of Jenga blocks. It looks great from the outside.
Actually, that would be really cool. A bookcase made out of Jenga blocks?
It would fall down in a second.
You'd have to glue them together.
Yeah, but then what's the point? So that's the setup. That's kind of how everything starts. Now, I will say, before watching this, I didn't really know anything about it.
No, I didn't either.
The only thing I really knew is that one of the characters is trying to kill another one of the characters, and they've set up this kind of plot.
Classic
to do
Hitchcock.
It. Yeah. The kind of, like, I should say here at the start, Hitchcock is not my favorite.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for Hitchcock, but I tend to get brought out of his movies a lot. I feel like the best way I can describe it is I think he constructs Rube Goldberg plot machines, but in watching it, not all of the pieces connect.
Well, I'm a big fan of his TV series, the Alfred Hitchcock Presents series, which are all like 25-minute episodes as opposed to like, a couple hour movies.
Yeah.
And they're usually like not so much mysteries as just like sort of interesting situations, usually with a twist ending. And I feel like in that medium of sort of a shorter piece, they tend to work really well. But as you say, like with this longer form movie, I felt like there was a lot of stuff that got introduced that didn't necessarily all become important and play out.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So anyway, what is the plot of this movie?
I'm going to try to make my way through the whole thing.
Oh, God.
I'm going to reveal everything.
Yeah.
So the movie starts, as back of the box said, with two characters. There's Margot and Mark.
They are kissing passionately.
Yeah, they're smooching on the mouths. We find out very quickly, like within the first 10 minutes of the movie, we find out a whole bunch of things. Here they are in no particular order. Margot and Mark are having an affair. Margot is married to Tony. As best as Margot and Mark believe, Tony does not know about their affair. Mark is also, it should be noted, a mystery writer.
This becomes important later on.
Yep, he writes crime novels and mysteries.
And is famous enough that his comings and goings are mentioned in the newspaper.
It's a little weird.
It's a little strange.
Yeah, like most movies from that time, there's lots of close-ups on newspapers saying, like, this has happened. Everyone needs to know.
Yeah.
The byline is all Basil exposition.
Right.
We also know that he has written her letters, she has written him letters, and she has burned all of them, save one.
Just one.
And that letter was in her purse, which was stolen
at Victoria Station
like a year ago.
Yes.
And she eventually got the bag back, but the letter wasn't in it.
Yeah.
And then she started getting blackmailed. Someone got the letter, someone has it, someone is blackmailing her. This is everything the two of them know.
To be clear, we know all of this like literally in the first 3 minutes of the movie.
It's
like
right
newspaper
up front.
clipping, kissing. Oh, Mark, it's so great to see you again, but I have to tell you something. And then she just like tells him this tale.
Tells him everything.
Yeah.
So that's everything that they know. Then Tony shows up. And of course, they're all like he knows Mark, and he knows that Mark and Margot are friends, and everything's fine. And Tony seems like kind of a doof, but not like he's not like evil or anything like that.
He's very collegial to Mark, and he's a tennis player. We come to find out,
like an ex-tennis pro.
He doesn't look like a tennis player.
Which, I mean, Playboy tennis pro is how he's described in back of the box.
Yeah, I understand that. The man is 55 if he's a day.
I think it's pretty accurate, though. He then
he's the fucking worst.
Sees the two of them out the door of their apartment in London.
When they're going out to like the theater?
The theater?
This is like the next night. Remember, he like comes back the next night and they're all supposed to go out together, but then they
No, this is all the first night.
Oh, you're right. You're right. The second night is the night that he's going to the bed.
Right.
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
The two of them are going to go out for the evening and leave Tony there. And he goes, yes, go on your way. I'm fine. And to the audience, he just looks like an idiot.
Well, they invite him, but he's like, I got to do work.
They leave. And then murder plot.
Dun,
it's
dun,
all
dun.
murder plot. The next 15 minutes are all murder plot.
It's like a monologue. It's a murder plot monologue.
I don't want to spoil every moment of it because it actually was kind of fun. Like, this is a fun movie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching it.
It's okay.
I had a lot of fun watching it. It's not my favorite movie by a long shot. It's nowhere near my favorite Hitchcock, who
Yep.
I already said I don't love. But basically, in the span of the next 15 minutes or so, he manages to invite someone to his home under false pretenses. That man arrives. His name is Swan. When he arrives, he is known as Captain Lesgate.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tony says, well, I know who you really are. Your name is Swan. We went to college together. And the guy's like, yeah, I guess I remember you. Turns out Swan's an asshole and has like stolen money from a lot of people, and he's on the run, and he's living under all of these false identities.
Yeah, he's kind of like a petty criminal guy, and yeah.
And what we find out is that Tony wants Margot dead because he's the one who stole her purse. He's the one that has the letter. He's the one that has been blackmailing her.
He knows all about the affair.
He knows everything. He saw everything.
And she's got money.
Yeah. She's much more wealthy than he is.
Yeah.
His plot is to have her killed. Now, of course, he can't do it. I'm saying, of course. Every time I'm saying, of course, I'm saying in air quotes, of course he can't do it.
He can't kill his own wife.
So what he's done is he has concocted, quote, the perfect murder.
Yes.
End quote. And essentially what his plan is, find a patsy. No, not really a patsy.
No, it's more like find someone that you can blackmail into doing this thing.
He called 1-800-A-PERFECT-MURDER.
He literally did do that, yes.
And technically this guy doesn't work for the company, but he's an outside contractor. So he's found this guy, and he thinks, like, this is a guy who has no experience with crime, and he thinks, oh, this guy I know from college is involved in a bunch of crime. He also has been following him, so he has a lot that he can blackmail him with. And he basically says, you're going to break into my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to kill Margot. It's all going to happen tomorrow night.
And it's all going to look like she startled you when you were here doing a burglary.
Yeah. It will never be connected back to me because I will have an alibi. I'm going to take Mark out for the night. We're going to go play cards all night, so I will not be here, and I will have an alibi. You'll look like you're a burglar. You'll kill her. And there's all of these great little things that happen where the guy says, well, what about this? And what about this? And Tony goes, oh, well, I've thought of that, and I've thought of that, and I've thought of that. Again, he's constructing this Rube Goldberg contraption. And even as a viewer, you're sitting there going, yeah, but those two pieces don't fit very well.
Well, it's like Hitchcock being too clever for his own good, right? It's like him going, the audience is going to say, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? So I'll just have a character ask, what about this? What about this? What about this? And he's got an answer for everything. So we had a disagreement as to whether or not you, the audience, are supposed to think that this is a good plan. And I was of the opinion that you, the audience, are supposed to think it's a good plan because he's got an answer for everything. So you're supposed to think, I'm coming up with all of these questions in my mind, but yeah, he's answering everything. Yeah, I guess it's a good plan. What could possibly go wrong? And I think it was a simpler time because clearly everything is going to go wrong. There's so many ways it can go wrong. And indeed, it does go wrong every single place it could possibly go wrong.
It goes wrong very badly.
But I think you thought that we weren't supposed to think it was a good plan.
I don't want to say it as we were supposed... I don't think I was ever saying that the audience was supposed to think it was a bad plan. I think the audience is supposed to understand there are some holes to his plan, and there are ways it could go bad.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is we know the murder is going to take place pretty soon, and there's a whole movie.
Yeah.
So I think it's reasonable for any audience to assume it's not going to go perfectly.
That's true, because then, as we said, the movie would be very short.
So I don't see it as this like perfect spectrum where you're at one end and I'm at the other. I think you're saying the audience is supposed to take it as read that this is a great plan, and I'm not at the other end, but I'm not quite to that end. I think the audience is supposed to assume that this isn't perfect.
Well, I think it's more like the audience is going, wow, he's answered every question that I myself had. Clearly something's going to go wrong, but I can't even imagine what that would be. Like, I kind of think it's like that.
And meanwhile, their spouse turns to them and says, shut up, you're ruining the movie.
Very good, yes.
Because you could only watch movies in the theater at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Also, super quick sidebar. This movie was shot in 3D. Did you know that?
No. What?
This movie was shot in 3D. It was exhibited in 3D. And even at that point, people weren't super sold on it. But you can like get this movie on like 3D Blu-ray.
That's
You
really
can watch
weird.
it in 3D.
Why would you want to do that? I hate 3D movies. They make me nauseous.
Well, just think of when like Swan comes out from the curtains with the I'm skipping ahead,
Yeah,
with the
you're
stocking that he's going to use to strangle Margot.
Spoiler alert.
And it's coming like right towards the camera. I already told people at the beginning if they wanted to watch it, they could. So everyone has had fair warning.
I don't understand. From 1954 until now, people continue to think that 3D movies are a good idea. They're a terrible idea.
Which people?
Just movie makers. We have them now, these 3D movies. I hate them. They make you so sick.
I don't think that's an unpopular opinion.
Yeah, I know. But why do we keep making them? They've got to be more expensive.
I'm not going to stand here and disagree with you. I can't rationalize it.
Anyway.
It's also not my favorite, but that's not what the show's about.
So at this point, you're basically telling the plot of the movie in real time because we're about 20 minutes into the movie. You want to like speed it along a little bit.
All right. So no, but it's great because once the plot happens, the movie, you can really condense everything.
Okay.
He's concocted this whole plan. He has gotten to a point where this guy has to do it because if he doesn't do it, he's going to get blackmailed. And there's a whole bunch of tiny little things that Tony has done to pressure him into doing this. Eventually, he agrees.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of goddamn bullshit is really the issue.
We haven't even gotten to the keys. If you want to talk about goddamn bullshit.
Oh my God, the fucking keys.
Okay, we'll get to the keys later. Basically,
I don't even understand the thing about the keys.
What part of we'll get to it later do you not understand?
Keep going.
So, this guy has agreed he's going to do it. So the next night happens. Tony takes Mark out, so he has his alibi. Margot stays at home. A whole bunch of things happen that cause Tony to have to think on his feet.
Yeah.
Like he thinks Margot is going to sit home alone and listen to the radio. And she says, I might go out and see a movie. And he's like, fuck, you stay. I need to. He's a dick to her.
Yeah, he's awful.
Just to make her stay in the apartment because he needs the plan to work. But immediately we see that the plan is not perfect.
Yes.
Like really, really quickly.
And they fail to synchronize their watches, for one thing.
Yeah, that's like a whole thing because the whole way the plot is going to work is he's going to call the house at 11 o'clock sharp. Swan's going to be hiding behind the curtains right by the phone. Margot's going to come out to the phone to answer it. And then Swan's going to come out from behind the curtains and strangle her. So he needs to call right at 11 o'clock for the plan to work. And his fucking watch doesn't work.
I'm just saying, like, anyone that has ever even given any thought to any kind of crime or scheme or caper knows that the first thing you do is synchronize your goddamn watches.
That's what you do.
That's what you do. This guy's an idiot. They're both idiots.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other guy should have suggested it. He actually is a criminal and didn't suggest it.
He's like a bad criminal, though.
He's a really bad criminal.
He can't even kill someone properly.
He does a bad job. Well,
we find out.
Okay,
so,
what happens?
Basically, he starts to kill Margot. She's fucking badass. Stabs him in the back with scissors.
The scissors that she was using, by the way, to cut out the tennis clippings that he forced her to stay at home and do.
That's what he said. He said, stay home and do my clippings.
Yeah.
She said, fine. And so the scissors are out. He just fucked up at every step of the way.
Giant scissors.
And there's this great scene where she stabs the guy in the back and he does this.
So gross.
He does this amazing, like, my back. Oh my God. And then he falls over. He falls over backwards and like he's not dead until he falls over backwards. But when he falls over backwards, that drives the scissors up into his life organ, whatever part of his body, because it's not by his heart.
No.
Whatever part of his body.
It's sort of his thorax.
What part of your body automatically dies if you fall on a pair of scissors? Because whatever it is, that's the part he falls on.
All the way through his body. I can't emphasize enough. They're really big scissors. Yeah, they came out the other side.
I don't remember that.
I mean, maybe that's just my impression.
I think it was your impression. I don't think that happened.
It was super gross. They made a very bad sound.
It was very gross. Bottom line,
he's dead.
He's super dead. Like, he did a bad job.
And died.
2 stars.
Yeah.
2 stars for 1-800-PERFECT murder.
I mean, like, no stars. I feel like if you're trying to do a murder, you either did the murder or you didn't. The person is either dead or they're alive. And she's alive.
Yeah, 1 star.
No stars.
Well, you can't leave no stars.
Yes, you can.
You can only leave 1 star. You can't go on Yelp and leave half a star?
I don't know.
I think you can do half a star. I think that's the lowest you can do.
I've left like 1 Yelp review in my entire life.
I'm going to check afterwards to see if you can leave 0 stars. Half star, bad parking. So he does a bad job.
He dies.
And then Tony, like you said this when we were watching, how do you characterize, you said in every Hitchcock movie where someone does a bad thing, there's always one scene that happens. What is that scene?
Oh, there's the and this isn't now. It's definitely later on for me. But
it's a little bit though.
Well, it's a little bit, but there's always in every Hitchcock. Well, what I said was in every episode of Alfred Hitchcock Presents, there's always a moment where the person who was doing the thing knows that they're fucked. And there's always just this sort of dun dun dun, and they like look at the camera and they're like, "Oh, I'm fucked." But the thing about this that occurred to me is so like she goes to answer the phone, right? And the murderer jumps out from behind the curtain and he starts to and she's going, "Hello, hello," because Tony's on the phone. He just doesn't say anything.
Yeah,
he's just saying hello, 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 and the one like actual like human moment in this entire film, because I thought it was pretty broad as far as like actual human behavior.
Yeah, a bit.
The one human moment that I actually really responded to was one of the things he didn't think through was, oh, I'm gonna actually have to listen to my wife being murdered over the phone. And just like the expression in his face, I actually think it was pretty good acting, because you sort of got the impression that, oh, I didn't think of this and this was bad. Because he's listening to her being strangled and like fighting back and making like bad strangle noises. And like, that's horrible to listen to. But then, of course, he thinks she's dead and he stays on the line, and she tries to pick up the phone to call the police. And she's going, "Wait, hello, hello, who's on the line?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's me. Wait, whoa." So he in that moment realizes, oh my God, she's alive. What happened?
And he has to think on his feet.
Yeah, and he's not great at that.
Right. So I think the movie can really be divided up into a couple of different sections. There's the setup, which is 15 minutes, and then there's the aftermath.
Yeah.
And the aftermath is most of the movie.
Yeah.
The aftermath of the bad murder. You did a no-star murder.
Yeah.
Bad parking.
Yeah, so like he tells her, "Don't call the police. Don't do anything. I'm coming home." And he comes home and he like, "Okay, can we talk about the key?"
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I want to save the key.
Is there more?
I want to save the key.
I'm just saying he does a bunch of shit in the apartment before they call the police.
And that is exactly how I think we should leave it.
Yeah.
Like, he does a bunch of shit because we watch him change his plan.
Yes.
And I don't think Hitchcock is like hiding what his new plan is.
Yeah.
Because I got it like immediately. Do you feel like you figured out what his new plan was, or do you feel like it had to be revealed? Because I want to say what his new plan was.
I think it had to be revealed a little bit. I mean, I definitely got the gist of it. I definitely got the gist of the bullshit with the key. Like,
okay, so
let's
here's
just
the deal.
talk about it for a second.
Here's how his plan changes. His plan changes from, "I'm going to have my wife killed by this dude," to, "I'm going to have my wife killed by the state. I'm going to make the government do it for me, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to show that this guy is the guy that was blackmailing her.
Yes.
She got him to come to the apartment, then she murdered him, so now she's a murderer.
Right.
So I'm going to frame her for murder, and I'm going to have her killed by an executioner.
That's what happens.
The country is going to do my job for me."
That's what happens.
And so we see him do all these little things to make it look like she did this on purpose.
It's basically, there's a key and there's a letter, and what is there another like prop?
Yeah, there's
there's the
nylons that were used to strangle her.
Yes, that's right. Those three things.
Yeah, he does a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, a bunch of business.
And
I just want to say, like,
yes.
There is a lot of stuff that makes it so obvious that this was a play.
Yeah.
Like the fact that there's a lot of exposition in monologue form, and there's also like 3 props that are really important. like kind of like in Noises Off, like, we've got 8 plates of sardines backstage. Like, they've got 17 keys that like have to come on and off in like different people's pockets and handbags and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very important that the key is exactly where you think the key should be at any given time.
Always.
Yes.
Always. It's a little crazy. I would say there's fewer locations than there are props.
I mean, the whole thing takes place in the apartment. Like, there's a little scene, like, in the club where they're playing cards and he goes to the phone. But that's actually the only time I think we ever leave the apartment.
Yeah, the only thing later that I'm thinking out that we see is, like, so after she's arrested and she's been sentenced to death, we see her receiving the sentence, but she's in this very abstract space.
Yeah,
she's not,
it's just like...
It's clearly she was on a stage.
Yeah.
The character is on a stage in a spotlight.
Yes.
And there are these disembodied voices handing down the verdict.
100%.
And so they just do that in the movie.
Yeah.
It's not cinematic. The
No.
movie's not cinematic at all,
Well, it's...
which is crazy to me that it was in 3D.
Well, it's just so funny because we said to each other, like, he does this long monologue of, like, all of this stuff that happened and how she lost her purse and he blackmailed her and this and that and this and that. And I'm looking at you going, they could show this. Like, it's literally just a camera looking at a person doing, I'm not exaggerating, a 15-minute monologue, but they could show it happening, like, through the magic of cinema. Like, that's the difference between a play and a movie, right?
And I'm just going to show them talking. Alfred, why are you doing that? What could we show it? Like, because it's a movie? No, I'm going to show them talking. That's all I'm going to do. He's going to talk, and the other gentleman, he's going to talk too? No, he's going to listen, you see. No, because as you will always find in my movies that if you watch, one character is doing the talking and the other one is doing the listening. And that is how I like to do it because I'm Alfred fucking Hitchcock.
That was amazing.
Was that pretty good?
Yeah.
I'm very proud of myself.
Babe, I'm so attracted to you right now.
Yay! You're as attracted to me as Alfred Hitchcock is to young, pretty blondes.
Ew.
Yeah, I know, right? How was Grace Kelly in this, do you think?
She's okay.
Let's spend a few minutes talking about the people who are actually in this.
Her accent's quite good.
Yeah.
I mean, I turned to you and I was like, she's American, right? You were like, yeah. I was like, her British accent's like not bad.
Yeah.
The other two guys are kind of shitty.
They're shitty actors.
I don't know. It's hard to say. All these fucking 1950s dudes all look and sound exactly the fucking same.
I feel like Alfred Hitchcock likes to take pieces that he likes to put everything together he takes pieces. I am struggling to say what I want to say because he's Hitchcock, and many thousands and millions of words have been spoken about Hitchcock. So what am I even adding to the conversation?
I don't know.
But here's what I'll say.
I just said 1950s dudes are all the fucking same. I don't know if that's been said before in Hitchcock discourse.
Clearly not.
Yeah.
I think Hitchcock takes pieces that exist in lots of different things, and I think he puts them together in an interesting way. That's what he does. I think he's like Shakespeare, basically, where like Shakespeare isn't
what?
Shakespeare for film. So basically, he's taking things that already exist.
I'm horrified.
Why? Oh my God! Because Shakespeare was inventing the plots of everything he was creating. What did Shakespeare add to the lexicon? What did he add to art?
Language.
Exactly, not plot. I think Hitchcock adds to the language of film.
He had one original plot.
What was that?
A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Hitchcock.
No, that dick. Why would I be talking about Hitchcock? This is only a show about Alfred Hitchcock.
All I'm saying is, I think when people talk about Hitchcock, they don't say, he wrote great female characters.
No, they would not say
I think
that.
what they say is, the shower scene from Psycho's really scary. I think that's what people talk about. I think what Hitchcock wanted to do was add to the language of film. He wanted to add to the visual and editorial language. But I don't think plots were a thing he gave a shit about too much, unless they backed up what he was trying to do.
I agree with that. I'm just still mad that you compared him to Shakespeare.
I'm so sorry. I like Shakespeare a whole lot. Hitchcock's just not my favorite. He doesn't float my boat. But I want to bring it back for a second.
Okay, go for it.
So let's talk about these dudes. I think they're fine. They feel like characters that exist in tons of movies in the 50s. They feel like archetypes that Hitchcock just said, I want that archetype and I want this archetype.
Yeah, they're the fucking worst.
Yeah, they're not great, but they're not bad. I mean, Tony's an asshole because he wants to kill his wife, but they're not like super interesting. They just fill sections of the plot. And I'm saying Hitchcock. He didn't write it.
No.
Frederick Knott wrote it. But Hitchcock took that script and created these characters for the screen.
Right. Can we talk about the detective?
Oh, you want to talk about Chief Inspector Hubbard?
Yes, I do. So what's the guy's name is John Williams, right? The same as the composer?
Yes, it is.
So this guy is in like almost like a million episodes of Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Like he's definitely like someone that Hitchcock worked with a ton.
I have two questions for you.
Yes.
What did you think of him as an actor?
He's great.
Yeah.
I love him. I like this guy in everything. Like I said, I've seen him a bunch because he's always playing this sort of same role. Like he's always playing like this older British guy in like everything that Hitchcock did, as far as I'm concerned. Can I say one other thing I really liked about him?
Yeah.
He had a great bow tie.
It was a very good bow tie.
He tied it really well.
Do you think he tied his own bow tie?
Yes. Can I sidebar for a second?
Yes.
I learned how to tie a bow tie this week.
I was real proud of you.
Thanks, babe. I made 3 bow ties by hand, and I learned how to tie them.
I was super attracted to you.
In my bow tie?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You looked great. Yeah. And then you did the thing where you pulled it out and like it fell down in like the cross section.
Like Frank Sinatra?
Yeah.
Was it sexy?
It was super sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were adorable.
I love
it was
you.
Great.
That's awesome.
We've already covered how your father listens to this podcast. So I have a second question for you.
Yes, dear.
Sidebar over?
Sidebar is over.
Okay, good. It was a good sidebar. Here's my second question.
Yes.
How do you feel about the character of Chief Inspector Hubbard?
I loved him.
Yeah?
He was great.
What is the line that he says that you love so much? Give some context for it really quickly.
Okay.
What is happening around this line?
So, like, the inspector has been in and out and in and out and in and out, because this is actually towards the end.
Yeah.
And he's trying to solve the case, and something is not right about it, and he can't quite figure it out. And at this point, she has already been, like, sentenced to death, and she's going to be, like, executed, like, the next day. And he's, like, back in the apartment once again, and he's just explaining, like, there was just something that was bothering me, so I did this course of action. And what he says is, I can't say it, it's so funny. What he says is, highly irregular, of course, but my blood was up. And he does this thing where
like his actions were highly irregular, right?
And he just like gestures across his body in this way.
Like swings his arm.
Yeah.
Yes, my blood was up. It's a delight.
It's so good.
I enjoy that line a great deal.
It's awesome.
It's really, really good.
Okay.
But he's a good character.
He's smart.
Yeah.
He solves the mystery.
Mm-hmm.
And like he gets led astray by by what's his name? Wendis? Tony
Wendis.
Tony, who's clearly framing his wife, and he kind of gets led astray at the beginning. But like he's a good policeman, and because something just doesn't seem right to him. He keeps coming back to it. Like something's not right. And finally, he kind of cracks the case, right? Like a little bit.
Can I say how he cracked the case? Before I say that, I'm just going to say really quickly kind of how the rest of the movie ends.
Yes.
The movie ends. There's like an act break, obviously. The second act happens weeks after the first act. She has been arrested. She's been sentenced to death. They are back in the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Tony's talking to Mark, and Mark says to Tony, I figured out how we can get Margot off of death row.
Yeah.
Here's how we do it. You'll have to go to prison for a couple of years. You will definitely have to go to prison.
No question. You have to go to prison, but like, stay with me.
Here's how we can do it. And Mark says, she didn't kill that guy on purpose. She killed him defending herself because you hired him to murder her.
So basically, Mark, the mystery writer, recites back to Tony what he would write in a mystery as having happened, which of course is the thing that actually happened.
He's describing everything beat for beat. Here's the deal. You found out we were having an affair because it's all out in the open and they seem to be fine.
This part is so weird. Like the relationship between Mark and Tony is very like, yeah, we're just both her husband, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
Not that being polyamorous is like a problem, but that's clearly not what's happening here.
I mean, I think it's a problem when not all of the parties agree to it. I think we can all agree to that.
Yes. Consent is very important.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So a whole bunch of stuff happens. He describes the entire plot to Tony and says, you do this, and then you did this, and then you did this, and this is all the stuff you tell the cops. Now, I know that none of this happened.
Right. That's the frustrating thing. The frustrating thing is he has cracked the case, but he doesn't know he's cracked the case. He thinks he made it up.
Yeah. And he thinks that Tony would be willing to go to jail for a couple of years.
Which he's not.
Which he absolutely isn't. After that, Tony leaves.
No, he goes back in the bedroom, remember?
Well, yeah, there's some stuff, but I don't think that's super important.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Yeah, he leaves.
No, he doesn't leave. He goes in the bedroom, remember?
Shit.
The detective shows up, and Tony goes, Mark, you gotta hide because the detective's here, and Mark's like, shit, I'll go in the bedroom.
Yep.
And so Tony and the detective have this conversation all the while Mark is hiding in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
And can I just say, like, the entire time that Tony and the inspector are having their conversation, Mark figures out, oh, shit, I was right.
Yes.
Everything that I just said is right. He did hire someone to kill his wife. Oh my God.
Yes. And the other thing that's in the bedroom with Mark is a suitcase full of money.
And I don't even think the money's important.
No, it's not important.
Let's not even get into it. But you're right. It is there.
But the fact that there's a suitcase full of money is important.
There's a giant MacGuffin in the bedroom.
Well, I'm just saying it's important to the plot, and I don't actually remember 100% why. But basically, the fact that he has the suitcase full of money is important to implicate him in having killed his wife. And he hears them talking about it out in the main room, the living room. And he opens the suitcase and there's a shit ton of money in it.
Yep. And so he opens the door and he says to the inspector, here's the deal. He did everything.
And here's all the money.
And I don't know, like the inspector doesn't really buy into any of all of it. He can't prove anything. And Tony leaves.
Yeah.
And Mark leaves first. Then Tony leaves.
Oh, this part's so convoluted.
There's just okay. I'm going to bypass all the bullshit.
Can we talk about the key?
I'm just going to bypass the bullshit. What we are left with is a scene wherein the inspector is in the apartment.
Yes.
Mark is in the apartment.
Yes.
Margot's back. She's been let out of jail. She's in the apartment. Tony is not.
Yes.
And the inspector gets to reveal to them everything he figured out.
Yes.
Because his blood was up. That's what led him to everything. Let's talk about the keys.
Let's talk about the stupid keys. Every time the key was mentioned, after like the third or fourth time, I just kept turning to you and going, no, not the key. I don't actually 100%. Like, I understand where it all ended up, but like there's a whole key. There's a big key plot. So basically, Tony left the key under the hall stairs.
I'm going to jump in for 1 second.
Yes, dear.
I just want to give a quick piece of information.
Okay.
There are 2 keys to this apartment. Tony has one,
yes,
and Margot has one.
The other important thing you should know about keys is that in this universe, all keys look exactly the same.
Everybody's
key to everybody's house looks exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, at one point, the inspector says, these latch keys all look the same.
Really hanging a lantern on it. There's a whole thing where Tony wants Swan to be able to get into the apartment to kill Margot without breaking in.
Yes.
So he takes Margot's key, hides it under a carpet outside the door.
On the stairs.
And Swan comes in and finds it, and that's how he lets himself in. And then...
Yes. The important thing is that Tony assumes that Swan would put the key in his pocket, but what he does is he puts it back under the stairs before he enters the apartment. The entire plot hinges on the fact that Tony did not correctly predict his behavior. He thought he would put it in his pocket, but he put it back under the stairs.
And then put it back after he did the murder. He assumed he would put it in his pocket.
Yes.
Then put it back after he did the murder,
right,
and then leave.
But he put it back. He put it back immediately upon opening the door.
Right. So when Tony gets home after Margot's done the killing,
he switches the keys.
He doesn't switch the key. He takes the key. He finds a key on Swan's body.
Yes.
And puts it in Margot's purse where he had stolen it from.
But it turns out,
yes,
that's Swan's key. It's his own key.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Margot comes home from jail, she tries to unlock the door with quote unquote her key, and it doesn't unlock. And but she also doesn't go under the stairs knowing that there's a key there. So that's how the inspector knows that she didn't know. Oh my God, this is going to get convoluted.
You're jumping ahead.
God.
There's a huge piece you've missed out.
I'm so sorry.
Because you missed the part that got Swan's blood up. What got his blood up? No, sorry, the inspector's blood up.
Yes.
This is so fucking complicated. This is the thing that got the inspector's blood up.
Yes.
Is that when she was in custody and they had her bag and the key in it, he took the key to the apartment and it didn't work.
It didn't work.
So what he did
yes,
is he went to Swan's apartment.
And it did work.
Yes. So he's thinking, why would Swan's key be in her bag unless someone put it in her bag thinking it was her key?
And now does she know that it's not her key?
But she comes back to the apartment and tries to use it. And she doesn't know that anybody is there or watching.
Yeah.
So that proves that she didn't know about that, which it doesn't necessarily exonerate her in his eyes. The exoneration happens in a few minutes.
Yes.
He just knows, oh, okay, this is not what I thought it was.
Yes.
Something's going on.
So then they set up Tony with the wrong... So they say, here's her property. Here's all of her property. So he tries to unlock the door with, quote, her key. The key doesn't work. He's like, ah, crap, the key doesn't work. He goes outside. Then you can, like, they're watching him through the window.
So the inspector makes Tony leave with the inspector's key.
Right. That's right.
Basically, he
has
Tony
a key that doesn't work.
He gives Tony the wrong key.
He switches the overcoats or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, this is so stupid.
So then he comes back, and do you want me to tie this up?
No, I'll do it.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. The inspector switched overcoats because in this world, both overcoats and keys look exactly alike for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Tony attempts to unlock his own house with the wrong key.
And just really quickly, the inspector, Margot, Mark, they're all inside.
Watching.
Everything's so tense.
And also, it is super tense because if this doesn't work, Margot is going to be executed the next day.
Yep.
So Tony leaves. So for a minute, we think, oh, no, he's not implicated. He's not going to implicate himself. But then you can see a little light bulb go on over his head. He turns around and he gets the key from under the stairs. How did Tony know the key was under the stairs unless he was implicated in the murder? And then he uses it to open the door. And they're all standing there and they say, Tony, you're fucked. And the camera zooms in on him and he's like, yeah, I'm fucked.
Oh, and he has the experience that everyone who is fucked has, which is, yeah, I guess I'm fucked.
I guess I'll tell you.
You know,
everything.
I've looked at all the facts and, no, sorry, in a British accent, I've looked at all the facts and it looks like I'm well and truly fucked.
I knew you were going to say well and truly fucked.
Yeah.
I knew that's what you were going to say.
And I'm just going to stand here and I'm going to just talk with them and take it.
And that's the end of the movie.
Because I'm well and truly fucked. The end.
That's literally the end of the
blah,
movie.
blah, blah. Like,
we don't know what happened to anybody. That's the end.
That's it. That's as far as the plot goes.
Yeah.
It's a whole bunch of stuff.
It's so much.
And she's fine at the end, and Tony's fucked, and all this stuff.
And I think the implication is she and Mark are going to be together.
Mm-hmm.
Happy ending.
Happy ending.
A woman almost was executed.
I only have one more thing to say about this movie.
I have a couple more things to say, but you go ahead.
Tell you what, I think I know what yours is going to be, so let me do mine first.
Yeah, please.
We've already said this before, but this is clearly a play.
Yeah.
This is clearly not a movie. And I use one example to really drive that home.
Yes.
The entire time that Tony is outside and we don't know if he's going to use the right key, and then he goes under the stairs to get it.
Yeah.
That entire scene
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Is being described by the inspector who's looking out the window of the bedroom. He's describing it to Mark and Margot.
He's narrating it.
To the audience,
yes.
the quote-unquote audience.
Yes.
This is a play.
Yeah.
There's nothing cinematic about this movie. It bums me out how uncinematic it is, especially when I found out it was in 3D. That's crazy to me.
It's lame.
It's super lame. What were you going to say?
So I want to talk for a minute about, I think you know what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think I do.
The female character.
Oh, how was she written?
The female character, singular.
I'm trying to think right now. Yeah, you're right.
Was she overwritten?
I bet.
Regularly written or underwritten?
1 star, bad barking.
So there's one woman in the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
One, not more than one.
Yeah.
Just one.
Yeah.
Does she have agency?
None.
She's a fucking pawn.
Yeah.
And
she does kill that guy.
She does kill that guy. She does a good job.
Yeah.
And that's very impressive.
And then she immediately does everything her husband tells her to do.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And does she have what you would call characterization? Does she have hopes and dreams and wants and fears and desires?
Yes, we already talked about it. She has a British accent.
I think
no, she clearly doesn't.
You're proving my point for me. She's a pawn. She's a set piece.
Yeah.
So she herself has no characterization. She could be anybody. She's just his wife. She's having an affair. Those are the two things we know about her. And she comes from money. We kind of know that too.
We know these things, yes.
And the other thing is that the fact that this entire movie hinges upon this guy has a plot to murder his wife. I'm thinking of how to say this. The fact that everyone is kind of reasonably cool with the fact that a man would just straight up hire someone to murder his wife. Like, the problem as it's presented to us is not that a man is about to murder his wife. The problem is that his plan goes wrong.
Yeah, he's bad at it.
Yeah. But I find, and this happens in, like, my one other touch point with Alfred Hitchcock is Alfred Hitchcock Presents, which is why I've mentioned it a couple times. But I find that Alfred Hitchcock is perfectly willing to center a plot around a woman being murdered and not care that much about, like, that woman as a person, only as, like, the catalyst for stuff that happens surrounding her murder.
Yes.
That happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it sucks.
It does. That's why I don't love Hitchcock.
Yes. And also, like, Hitchcock's own sort of fetishized attractions to, like, tall blonde women is pretty clear in all of his work.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, all I'm saying is female character's underwritten. It's real shitty. The end.
So that brings us to 1998 and the film A Perfect Murder.
So I suppose if you were in 1998 and you were looking at this film from 1954 and you were like, okay, I need to make some casting decisions. I need a blonde, sexy, totally character and personality free lady and a real slimy dude. You could not make a better casting decision than Gwyneth Paltrow and Michael Douglas. They fit the roles of these two characters perfectly.
I think it was amazing when we were watching this that we learned something about each other while we were watching this. What is the movie to you that exemplifies Michael Douglas? What is the movie you always think of when you think of Michael Douglas?
I mean, I it's a movie I haven't seen.
Which is?
Wall Street.
And what is the movie I always think of?
The American President.
That's what I grew up on.
But the Sorkin President is Jed Bartlett. It's not Michael Douglas.
I'm not saying he's the Sorkin President. I'm enjoying The West Wing a lot, by the way.
Yeah, tell the audience where you are.
Well, that's going to be, that's what I always do in the intro because we record this way in advance.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm like a quarter of the way through season 3 as we're recording
You're
right
doing
now.
Great.
By the time this actually goes out, I'm going to be well past that.
That's right.
I have no idea what's going to happen after that.
No spoilers for Jeremy, please.
Me in the past. I'm not saying that you're putting me at one end of a spectrum again that I don't appreciate. I'm not saying he is the Sorkin President. I'm just saying he's a really nice, good person.
No, he's a sleazeball. He's Fatal Attraction, Wall Street, gross, rich dude, Michael Douglas.
No, he is not.
He's the fucking worst.
He's the president of the United States. He's Hank fucking Pym.
No.
He is the Ant-Man.
No.
He saves lives and he
No.
loves his daughter.
No, there's no such thing as Hank Pym. His name is Jed Bartlett.
That is all. Hank Pym is from fucking Marvel. He's Ant-Man. You think he's President Hank Pym in The American President? I'm saying he played more than one character where I really like him.
No.
But
Denied.
Anyway, we get
overruled, sir.
We get sleazy Michael Douglas in this
Oh,
movie.
he's so gross.
But here I am the producer now, and I'm telling you, you got to get me someone who can play real sleazy. Get Michael Douglas. Cool. We got Michael Douglas. That's great. We need someone real pretty and blonde. I don't need an excess of personality, though. How about Gwyneth Paltrow? She's an up-and-comer. She's great. Now we need someone
real fucking sexy.
We gotta get the Mark character. We need the lover.
This was the only thing I liked.
He is
so fucking dreamy.
Aragorn himself. Like 2 years, like literally a year prior to like the Lord of the Rings starting to shoot, we get Viggo Mortensen.
Babe, I know that we are married to each other and I love you and I know my dad listens to this thing, but Viggo Mortensen is so fucking sexy. I can't even handle it.
So you saw Perfect Murder when it came out, right?
I don't know that I saw it when it came out. I definitely was in high school. I think it made a strong impression on my sexuality.
I would like you to, first of all, I'm going to ask you a couple of pointed questions.
Yes.
Okay. Which characters are in the scene that affected you?
Viggo Mortensen and Gwyneth Paltrow.
What does one do to the other?
Okay. I just want to say one thing.
What does one do to the other?
Dad, if you're listening, please hit the forward 30 seconds button now.
What does one do to the other?
Viggo Mortensen goes down on Gwyneth Paltrow.
Is it sexy?
Yes!
Yeah, it's pretty fucking sexy.
Dad, you can pick that back up again.
He can't hear you. He's 30 seconds in the future. He has no idea what I'm saying right now. You already called him like almost a senior citizen before.
He's
not
almost
hearing
a senior
this.
citizen.
He's not hearing this because he skipped ahead 30 seconds.
Great.
Oh, hey, Jeff. Welcome back. It's nice to have you back right now. I think the timing works out for that. So that's our setup.
Yes.
We've got Michael Douglas, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Viggo Mortensen in all of those roles. So now we were going in to watch this. I'd never seen it before.
Yeah.
You had seen it. And you were told me
I
about
only remembered that one scene.
just the cunnilingus scene. So I didn't know what to expect with this. And so I'm going in expecting something very similar to the original. I'm expecting that we're going to have Tony, the quote-unquote Tony character. All the names are different.
Yeah.
So I think we should just refer to them by the actors' names. I'm expecting the Tony character to be Michael Douglas. I'm expecting the Margot character to be Gwyneth Paltrow. I'm expecting Viggo to be the Mark character. And I didn't know who was going to play the Swan character. I
Yeah.
had no idea. And as we're watching it, I'm suddenly thinking, wait a second. Is this the one where they combine Swan and Mark?
They do indeed.
Is the lover also the one who's being pressured into killing her?
Yes.
That is what happens.
Yes.
So that's the big difference
Yeah.
here. Suddenly, everything is different. Now, before we get any further, I think we should do Back of the Box for 1998's A Perfect Murder.
May I read it?
Directed by Andrew Davis. Yes, absolutely. Do you have it?
No.
Here it is.
Thank you. Millionaire industrialist Stephen Taylor is a man who has everything, but what he craves most, the love and fidelity of his wife. Oh, he has...
You're getting off track.
Can I do that again?
No, go back to it.
Millionaire industrialist Stephen Taylor is a man who has everything but what he craves most, the love and fidelity of his wife. A hugely successful player in the New York financial world, he considers her to be his most treasured acquisition. But she needs more than simply the role of dazzling accessory. Brilliant in her own right, she works at the UN and is involved with a struggling artist who fulfills her emotional and sexual needs. I added that. When her husband...
Wait, you added the words or the stank?
I added the word sexual.
Oh, that's not in there?
No.
I don't know that you're doing a good job.
When her husband discovers her indiscretion, he sets out to commit the perfect murder and inherit her considerable trust fund in the bargain. Very little is what it seems in this thriller that is sizzling with suspense. Do you want me to say the names of all the people?
I mean, is it on the back of the box?
It's in this thing that you wrote up, yeah.
Do it.
Starring Academy Award and Golden Globe winner Gwyneth Paltrow, proof Shakespeare in Love, Academy Award and Golden Globe winner and oh my God.
Just keep going.
Academy Award and Golden Globe winner and Emmy nominee Michael Douglas, The In-Laws, Don't Say a Word, and Viggo Mortensen, Hidalgo, The Lord of the Rings trilogy.
I like that Hidalgo's first. That's the reason I love it.
You made me read all that just to get to Hidalgo.
Hidalgo's before Lord of the Rings. Hidalgo is never before Lord of the Rings.
Can I tell you the sexiest moment in all of film?
Yeah, it's the scene when Viggo Mortensen goes down on Gwyneth Paltrow. We talked about it already.
No, it's in Lord of the Rings when they think Aragorn's dead and he pushes through the doors and he opens the doors and he's all sweaty and gross and he's so good.
I don't remember that scene.
Okay.
Was it like in the trailers or something?
No.
Moving on. Let's just get this out of the way. I fucking loved watching this movie so much.
I hated it.
Did you hate the movie or did you hate watching the? Because I want to clarify. I didn't necessarily love the movie. I loved watching the movie.
Yeah, I didn't like watching it. It was too stressful.
So I feel like neither of us can really say whether this was good or bad, but we certainly had feelings when we were watching it. Let's go through the plot a little bit.
Yeah, real quick.
Because it all starts the same way and then diverges wildly, like, immediately.
Yeah, so there's the super rich guy. His wife is much younger. She's having an affair with this sexy artist.
Mm-hmm. They all live in New York City. There's no international travel or anything like that.
No. And the husband goes to the sexy artist, Viggo Mortensen, and says, I know you're banging my wife. I want you to kill her. I know that you're a criminal. I know that you're not what she thinks you are. Here is all of this stuff that I can use to, like, blackmail you about what you've done in the past. And we believe that he agrees to murder her. Up to that point,
he does, though.
He does. Up to that point, it's pretty much exactly the same.
Except for that. It was different up until the entire thing you just described.
Oh, because it's the same person?
Yeah.
Well, yes.
That changes it drastically.
Yes, but the plot and I'm just trying to get through the plot.
Yeah. That diverges wildly.
Yes.
At that point.
Yes.
Then we get loosely the same structure because there's the setup, there's the event. Someone breaks into the apartment to try to kill her.
They've got this giant, ugly apartment.
She doesn't stab him in the back with scissors and then he falls on it. Like, that's not what happens. She gets him with Chekhov's meat thermometer.
Yeah, we have been exposed to this meat thermometer being jabbed into meat approximately 8 billion times at the point that she kills him with it.
It is very clear there's a meat thermometer drying in the drying rack in the kitchen.
Oh my God. We've seen the meat thermometer so many fucking times.
You don't know anything about the layout of the apartment, but you do know that there is a meat thermometer because that's never on Zillow, right? Like, it's never like there's a full bath and a half bath downstairs and there's a meat thermometer.
The maid left the meat thermometer when she took it out of the roast.
We know there's a meat thermometer. We know.
We saw it go into the roast. We saw it come out of the roast. And we saw it go into the drying rack.
And then we saw it go into the murderer. And then we saw it come out of the murderer. Oh, it's so fucked up. So, like, he's got her, he's strangling her on the kitchen counter. She's reaching for it, and you think, this is it. And then she grabs a knife instead.
And
of
we're
course,
like,
that doesn't go well because it has to be the meat thermometer.
Oh my God.
And she grabs it and shoves it in his neck. And then he falls to the ground, and he is dead. And this is really sad because I like Viggo Mortensen. So Viggo Mortensen is clearly dead.
Nope.
And then, I say Tony, Michael Douglas gets home. And then she's freaking out
she's covered in blood.
Oh, it's real dark.
Yeah.
All this stuff. And then he goes, the cops all come. We'll get to the kind of the new inspector in a second.
Yeah.
We'll put him aside for a moment.
This ties into a previous episode. I'm just going to say real quick.
The cops all get there and they're going to do the unmasking because this murderer has been wearing a mask.
A ski mask.
And Michael Douglas is standing there with everyone and they go to take the mask off. And it's not Viggo Mortensen.
Yay, he survived.
It's some dude.
It's just some dude.
We've never seen before. And that brings me immediately and obviously to Sir not appearing in this film.
Talk about it. I mean, I think it's pretty clear.
So Swan doesn't exist.
He doesn't exist. He's one person. He's one guy.
And it's weird, too. It's like, it's not even that Swan is Sir not appearing in this film. Mark is Sir not appearing in this film.
Yeah, exactly. They both are.
They made Swan sexy and made him, but there's nothing about Mark's character that makes it to this one other than he's the one that Margot is banging.
Yeah, because he's not even sexy.
Mark is not sexy. Also, what is his profession?
Journalist. Or no, I'm sorry, mystery writer.
He's a mystery writer.
And he solves the thing and that's not in it whatsoever.
He's not a mystery writer. He's an artist.
Yeah.
He has other than the fact that he is the one banging the wife, he has nothing to do...
Don't say banging.
He has nothing to do with Mark from the original.
Yeah.
He is Swan, but sexy. So actually, I was kind of thinking of saying that I think Swan was my Sir not appearing in this film, but really,
Mark
Halliday is my Sir not appearing in this film.
I'm with you.
So getting back to the plot, Michael Douglas is suddenly like, okay, now I have to redo everything.
Yeah.
Now I don't... Basically, this is the big difference, I think, between this one and the old one.
Mm-hmm.
In the old one, everything happens. I think you could condense the entire movie into 10 minutes of just information dumps that happen in 3 points in the entire thing.
Yeah.
There's the entire setup, there's the murder, and then there's everything getting revealed.
Yeah.
But we know everything that happened. In this one, information is given out throughout the movie.
Yes, like an actual movie.
Yes. Yeah.
Almost.
I think it's a much better written movie than the original.
It's a better movie as a movie.
And I feel bad comparing 1998 to 1954, but also it's Hitchcock, so I want to hold him to a higher standard.
I think you should.
My finger is pointing right now.
It really is.
I don't like Hitchcock. So that's where everything diverges. And now this is a movie of double crosses.
Yes.
This is a movie where
triple crosses even.
So a couple of things happen.
Quadruple crosses.
There's so many crosses. Do you have another one in your holster there?
What's 5?
Quintuple crosses?
Maybe. Keep going.
Yep. I don't think it's worth it to go through every single one of these plot machinations.
Yeah. Please don't.
Essentially, we get a whole bunch of things where Michael Douglas goes to Viggo Mortensen, says, "What the fuck?" And Viggo's like, "What the fuck you, man?" And then there's the detective, and there's all this stuff, and there's back and forth. One thing that I will say that I appreciated, I'm going to ask you, again, a pointed question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel just on its face that the character played by Gwyneth Paltrow, Emily, I had literally had to look at it. I don't remember
They don't
her
use
name.
her name very much.
Do you feel that Emily was a well-rounded and well-written character?
No.
Okay. That fair. That is exactly what I expected you to say.
Okay.
And I don't disagree. You're right.
You just don't want me to talk about it yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
But here's my next question.
Yes.
Is she a marked improvement in her portrayal over 1954?
Grudgingly, yes.
Grudgingly?
Yeah.
This was 20 years ago.
The
We've
bar was low.
The bar was really low. Yeah, no, that's super fair. The bar was super low. A whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to hang everything on one moment.
Okay.
That one kind of overarching theme in one moment. The big theme is that she's not helpless the entire movie. She's not in jail the entire movie, and the inspector is figuring everything out. She's active. She is actively trying to figure out what's going on.
Well, so in the 1954 movie, one of the things that's very clear is that from the moment that the police arrive, nobody believes her story.
That is true.
Because she is a lady.
Mm-hmm.
And they are not supportive, and they are not with her, and they don't take her story as true. They immediately think she's lying.
And even when the inspector starts to believe her,
he's still super aggressive towards her.
And the way he's very manipulative of her.
Yeah.
Even when he thinks she's innocent, he manipulates her.
Yeah. And the thing that the 1998 movie does that much better, I think, is that she's really never a suspect. Like, the police take her into custody, and like she has to go down to the police station and she's not in custody, but she has to go down to the police station and like give her story.
Yeah.
But they never think that she has anything to do with it, and they believe what she says from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't have to like prove anything. She doesn't have to prove herself innocent. They assume she's innocent until proven guilty, which nothing really ever comes up to make it seem like it was her, like she did anything to make this happen.
Yeah.
Which I appreciated, because like the series of events that make it seem like the woman's fault in this is super convoluted, and like really requires you to like go into it with the assumption that the woman is going to be lying about what happened to her. And sort of in the era of like #MeToo, it was nice that like her story was believed. Now, she is a very conventionally attractive, thin, blonde, rich, white woman. So like clearly privilege enters into the fact the police are believing her story. And I don't want to like, that's not unimportant.
No.
But the fact that she was assaulted, and everyone is like, yeah, you were assaulted. That really fucking sucks.
Yep.
And it's not your fault.
And you're not going to jail.
And you're not going to jail. And we don't even think that there's any reason you should go to jail, even though you killed a man, I think is like laudable for 1998 particularly.
I think it's good.
Yes.
I think it's good. So yes, she's still not even close to great in terms of portrayal.
Yes.
But yeah, a marked improvement.
An improvement.
And for 1998, very good.
Yes.
I think we're moving forward. We're definitely moving forward. So that's kind of the overarching thing.
Well,
she is more active.
She's more active.
But there's one moment that they take from one character in the original and give to her in this one. First of all, when the inspector in the original says that he took the one key, the fact they never found a key on the victim's body.
Oh my God, there's key bullshit in this too.
This one has a whole bunch of key bullshit. It's there. I don't think you can do this without it. And honestly, after watching both of them, if we were to be involved in making a remake, if I were to like to do a remake, I would put the key stuff in it because that seems like it's part of it.
Not the key stuff. Okay, go ahead.
It has everything to do with the shark. Everything to do with the shark. So, in the original, the inspector is the one who says, there was no key on the victim's body, but she had a key in her purse. I'm going to try that key at the victim's apartment.
Mm-hmm.
We never even see this happen.
Yeah.
He's the one that does it, and we find out about it by him telling us.
Yes.
So this is not good for her character because it takes action away from her.
Yes.
And it's not good cinematically because it's just someone telling us something.
Yes.
In this version, she is the one that says, basically, the inspector, the detective, says to her, yeah, you know what's weird? We didn't find a key on the victim's body, like even to his own apartment.
And she goes, that's weird.
That's super weird. And she finds out, doesn't she find out that her key doesn't work for her door?
Yeah, we see her like just go home and her key doesn't work.
Yeah. So she like finds where this guy lives and tries the key and it works. And so we're actually seeing it happen, and it's her doing it.
Yeah.
She's more active. So I really like that.
Yes.
It's not perfect, but it's so much better.
Yes, I grudgingly
You look so pained right now to do that.
grudgingly agree.
I know you didn't enjoy watching this movie.
I didn't. Can we talk
I had
about
so much fun watching it.
Can we talk about the inspector?
Let's get to Detective Mohammed Karaman.
Excuse me. That is not his name. His name is Monsieur Hercule Poirot.
He doesn't have a mustache.
He is incognito, for he has shaved his mustaches.
He does. He also has a very convincing American accent.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that because he's Poirot.
It's David
It's
Suchet.
David Suchet.
I was really excited when I saw the cast list because when I looked at the cast list, I thought, well, who plays Swan? I have no idea. Turned out no one plays Swan. He doesn't exist. It's Viggo Mortensen the whole time. Then I saw David Suchet was in it, and I thought, man, is he the inspector? Because that'd be weird. Because he's Poirot.
I feel like
He's in 3 scenes in this movie.
Yeah, the inspector character is a little underwritten. I feel like he must have had more to do that they ended up cutting. Because otherwise, why have David Suchet? There's a whole plot point that, like, she speaks a lot of languages because she works at the UN. And
Do you actually want to talk for just a second about, like, what she does? Like, what her life is?
She's a lawyer at the UN. So she has a lot of pull with, like, ambassadors and stuff. And that's how she gets her hands on a lot of this information. But there's a whole plot point where she's down at the station being questioned, and he gets this emergency phone call from his wife that something's wrong with his son, and his baby, his newborn son. And we hear him speaking to his wife in Arabic, and Gwyneth Paltrow speaks to him in Arabic and basically says, like, how old is your son? And they have this little moment where they speak to each other in his language, and it doesn't go anywhere. And I wonder if there was something that got cut, because then at the very, very, very end, when everything's been exposed and, like, and everybody knows that her husband set this whole thing up and he's a murderer and blah, 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 they have another conversation in Arabic where it's just like, I hope everything goes well for you, you know, and you also.
And I had a theory about that.
Yeah.
And we talked about it a little bit, like, literally when it was happening.
Yeah.
I think I saw... I'm just going to say I think this is what they were doing.
Yeah.
I think we can have a separate conversation about whether it was good and effective or not. But I think what they were trying to do is they were trying to, A of all, set up his character as someone the audience agrees with and likes.
Yes.
He is a sympathetic character for the audience.
Totally.
We see him interact with all the other cops. He is calm. He's considered. He's cool. He's collected. He is someone we like. Because we like and trust him, and because we know she didn't do it, when they form a bond the first time they meet there in the interrogation room, we know that it means something.
Well, I mean, the only thing it could really mean is, like, we know that she's going to be okay and he's not going to let anything happen to her, like being, like, wrongly convicted of murder.
And that's it. But that's, I think, what it is.
You think that's it? Because it doesn't
it.
really go anywhere.
But at the end...
Because there's never any danger of that.
Well, let's skip to the end. There is a danger of that, because if you recall how the movie ends...
That's right. Yes.
She shoots Michael Douglas in their apartment and super kills him.
Yes, because he's trying to kill her.
Yeah, and the movie ends with him dead. The cops are all there again. She's sitting at the desk, and the detective is sitting there with her. And there's this moment where you think, she killed her husband there.
She's now killed a second man.
In her own apartment. This is the moment where everything could go very bad for her. But because this is a character sitting with her who we know, we like, and we trust, he says to her, essentially, these are not the words he uses, but he, for the audience, is saying to her, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good. You win.
Yeah.
You won this story. You are not going to jail. You're not going to get set up for murder.
Yeah.
We know that you were in the right to do this and you were protecting yourself.
Yeah.
It lets the audience walk out of the theater saying, she's okay.
I think that's fair.
Did you know that there's an alternate ending to this movie?
No.
Let me describe the alternate ending for you.
Oh, God.
So in the real version, the actual proper movie, she and her husband have an altercation at the house. She basically says, I know everything.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm going to fucking kill you.
He does say that.
And does he actually say that?
Pretty much, yeah.
Then she shoots him. a couple of times until he is dead.
Yeah.
That's not how the original one went.
Okay.
In the original one, he does die, and her response to it is he has not physically assaulted her at all.
Yeah.
What she does is she fakes an injury to make it look like he attacked her. She basically kills him just in cold blood, then fakes an injury to make it look like he attacked her so that she gets off the hook.
I'm glad they didn't do it that way because that's bullshit.
That did not test well.
No.
Among women over the age of 25.
There we go. There it is. Thank you, women over the age of 25. I wish that you ran this nation.
And then they changed it so that, like what was actually happening in the movie, he fucking attacks her.
Yeah.
There's no reason for her to fake anything. She actually is in the wrong.
Well, there's this moment that is like a huge pet peeve of mine in movies where, so she is standing between him and the door. Like her back is to the door of the apartment. And he's literally standing there going, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to fucking kill you. Here are all the ways and reasons that I'm going to kill you. He's monologuing at her. Oh, and I'm like watching this screaming, run, open the door, leave the apartment. And she doesn't do it. And I don't understand why. If someone's like threatening me and I'm between them and the door, I'm going to leave.
It's because he needs to die.
It's not good movie making. Just literally the only thing you had to do was flip them so that he's between her and the door. That's the only thing you had to do to fix that problem.
That would have been better. I don't feel that this scuttles the movie, but I agree with you. That's not good.
Yeah, whatever.
That absolutely could have been better. Like I said, I didn't love this movie.
Yeah.
I loved watching this movie.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed it. But you're right.
I know I'm right.
I know you know. And you know that I know you know.
Everybody knows everything.
This is
much like the end of the movie.
This is all good. A whole bunch of stuff. Just to recap. So where does everything stand at the end? What happens to Michael Douglas by the end?
Dead.
Well, other stuff happens to him too. We find out his whole plot. We find out that he's flat broke.
There's a whole money situation, yeah.
We learned a thing. There was a moment in the movie where she is talking to her best friend, and her best friend says something about their prenup.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have as much money as she does, because she comes from money. And said, well, what happens in the prenup? You don't have a prenup, so if you die, he gets everything.
Yeah, she kind of sighs and goes, he offered, I didn't do it.
And like both of us looked at each other at the same moment and went, prenups don't cover death benefits.
And we found out, we Googled it.
They absolutely do.
We did a minimum of research.
And it was so funny too. I literally looked up prenups, death benefits, and the first thing that pops up is the little like synopsis that says, most people don't know this, but prenups actually do cover death benefits, and they can prevent someone from getting your money if they die. So I didn't know that. We learned something.
So the filmmakers knew this, apparently.
We find out that not only did he want to kill her because she was cheating on him, he wanted to kill her because he would then get all of her money.
Yes.
So he's broke. He fucked up. We understand his whole plan, and he is also shot and dead.
Yes.
What about Viggo Mortensen? He does a whole bunch of stuff by the end.
What happens to him?
He taped a conversation between him and Michael Douglas, so he's now reverse blackmailing Michael Douglas.
That's right, and she has the tape.
Yes, she gets the tape.
That's
eventually.
why she shoots him eventually, because she knows everything. She knows all, but we don't know what happens to Viggo Mortensen.
Except we do.
Do we?
Aragorn gets killed in the train.
Oh my god! I totally forgot. Wait, can we go back?
No. So Michael Douglas is hiding in the train.
No, they do a whole. I think this is a tribute to Murder on the Orient Express. I think this is a Poirot tribute to David Suchet, because he's trying to escape on the train and Michael Douglas shows up in like surgical gloves and stabs him to dead.
He stabs him to dead.
Yeah.
Super dead.
He's real dead.
So Viggo Mortensen's really dead. Michael Douglas is really dead.
But like,
she's fine.
Wait, stabs him to death and leaves him in the train compartment. Like, there could be a whole other movie about we found this dead body on the train to Montreal that we never see.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
But he's dead.
He's dead.
So basically everybody's dead. She's fine. Curtain. There's a thing about, so this movie was directed by Andrew Davis, and I've kind of stayed away from this part of it, but I do, maybe not this moment, but I do want to talk about it for a little bit.
Talk about it. Go.
So let's talk about Andrew Davis.
Oh boy.
I have not seen all of Andrew Davis's movies. I have loved every single one of his movies that I've seen.
Wait, name some of them.
The Fugitive.
Okay.
Under Siege.
I've seen that.
And also this movie.
Okay.
You've seen all the three movies that I really enjoy that Andrew Davis has directed.
I have seen them.
And I didn't know he directed it until we started watching it. And the movie starts, and I just thought, man, this really feels like The Fugitive, because it's like 6 years after The Fugitive was made.
Yeah.
It's not in Chicago, which bums me out, because I think The Fugitive is like the best Chicago movie ever. But here's just a few things about Andrew Davis that I love. Andrew Davis movies feel like Andrew Davis movies. The camera's always moving. The cinematographer talked about the fact that like he normally does action movies, and he got hired for this, and he said, but Andrew Davis shoots dialogue scenes like action scenes. So the camera's always moving. There's always a bed of music underneath everything that's always there for atmosphere. It's James Newton Howard, who was the same composer for The Fugitive. So, like, if you like The Fugitive and you haven't seen A Perfect Murder, see it, because they feel exactly the same.
I mean, can we say like a piece of trivia about The Fugitive?
Yes.
It was my final Jeopardy.
Yeah, that was how you got second place on Jeopardy.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of The Fugitive.
We're going to do The Fugitive at some point.
Yeah, I think we should.
I do enjoy that movie. I just really like Andrew Davis. I love how I think Andrew Davis movies are cast perfectly in terms of everyone other than the main characters. I like who he casts as the main characters, but I also think...
Well, they served the purpose of what he needed them to serve, which
100%.
was sleazy and...
Pretty. And very sexy.
Ugh. Yeah.
Michael Douglas is the one who's very sexy, right?
No.
Okay.
He's so gross.
I think so much care is taken in the casting of everyone other than the main characters. All of the supporting characters, all the background characters, everyone was just interesting and realistic. I loved everybody in this movie. I loved them all.
I'm glad.
I really enjoyed this movie.
That's awesome.
I like Andrew Davis a whole lot. So this movie felt like one of his movies, and I really enjoyed it. I guess the best way I can describe the difference between them is like Dial M for Murder is a poorly cooked steak, and A Perfect Murder is a perfectly prepared hamburger.
All right.
Like,
all right.
No
yeah.
one,
no, I see. I'm with you. I'm with you.
No one's going to argue that a hamburger is better than a steak.
Yeah.
Well,
no,
I might.
Well,
no, that's...
A good hamburger is better than a bad steak.
Exactly.
Yeah, we did it. We cracked it.
That's how I feel about this.
Okay.
I think this is a perfectly crafted hamburger.
It's a good hamburger.
And
Stop talking about hamburgers. I'm hungry.
I'm hungry too. I just wanted to say those things about the making of the movie. I enjoyed this movie so much. I'm looking forward to watching it again.
Oh,
I think it has real rewatch value.
No, it doesn't.
I enjoyed it so much.
Oh my God. So we've talked about both of these movies, and what we usually wrap up with is the quadrant, and it's a little bit weird because we don't often do like just a movie that's based on another movie. But I think we can kind of I think this is the one place where we can bring the play into it as the original source. And still quadrantize these movies.
Okay, I'm gonna go with you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, if we think about Dial M for Murder based on a play, A Perfect Murder based on Dial M for Murder, like
yes.
think of those as the original sources.
Right. Even though like Perfect Murder says it's based on the play.
Yeah, it's a little quasi, but let's roll with it just so we have more than one thing to put on the quadrant.
All right.
Okay. Dial M for Murder. Do you think the filmmaker cared about the source material?
No, I don't think Alfred Hitchcock ever cares about the source material.
I agree with you. Do you think he made a good movie?
Yes.
Okay.
I think Dial M for Murder is a good movie.
It's okay.
I can understand why it's a classic. It was super fun. I really enjoyed watching it. I had so many problems with it, and it is not only do I not love Hitchcock, it does not even rank in my top Hitchcock movies, but it was good.
Yep.
It was fun.
That's fair.
I see why people like it.
All of this is fair.
Steak's good.
Okay. A Perfect Murder, assuming that they don't know anything about the play and the original source material is Dial M for Murder. Do you think that they cared about the source material?
Yes.
I do too.
I think they did.
I actually do too.
I think they were so specific in the ways they changed it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It showed a very clear understanding. The thing that I found out about it that blew my mind, the writer of A Perfect Murder, do you know how many other movies he wrote?
No.
1.
Oh, so this was like a passion project.
I guess so. I'm not even sure. I actually don't think so. I think he's a hired gun because the other movie he wrote was Don't Say a Word, which was 2001, and that's also Michael Douglas.
Weird. Maybe he's his like friend.
I don't know. I'm not sure what it had to do, but like he literally has no other credits. A guy named Patrick Smith Kelly. I looked him up. I couldn't find anything because I really enjoyed this movie.
Weird. Yeah, that's weird.
So I'm not sure that this was a passion project, but it's very clear that they really absorbed everything that's in the original to turn it into something else.
Is there any chance that he's a pen name for Michael Douglas himself?
No, he's a real person.
Okay.
I did find that. I found
He's a real person.
I found that he's a real person. He just didn't write any other movies.
Great. Okay. So we think they cared about the source material.
Yes.
Do you think they did a good job?
Yes. Yep. That's where I'm at.
I guess.
Is it perfect?
No.
Is it a perfect murder?
No.
No. It's an imperfect to perfect murder.
Yeah. It's a good movie.
4 stars. Parking was good.
Oh, boy.
I really liked it. I think it's good.
It's a good movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's
just not my thing. It's just not my type of movie. It's not my cup of tea.
You don't like movies that stress you out.
No, I don't. I like movies with no plot.
I was so worried that you hated it while we were watching it, and then I realized, oh no, you just hated watching it.
Yeah.
I am probably going to rewatch this at some point.
I'm happy for you.
It's not going to be, because I rewatch The Fugitive all the time because it's like just an amazing movie. I rewatch Under Siege every now and then because I really enjoy it.
Yeah, you made me watch it once.
Despite the fact that it is deeply flawed. We've talked before about like watching a movie with each other through the other person's eyes. I never thought that Under Siege wasn't problematic. I didn't realize how problematic it was until I watched it with you.
I appreciate you.
That's a hill I am never going to die on.
Nope.
I'm staying away from that hill. That is a hill I will sit on and have a good conversation with you about the flaws in Under Siege.
Fantastic. Do you want to wrap up A Perfect Murder / Dial M for Murder?
Thus concludes Dial M for A Perfect Murder.
I think we cracked it.
Press 1 if you'd like to kill your spouse.
No, that's terrible.
Well, no, would you ever call that number?
No, I wouldn't call it.
Can I see your phone really quickly?
No, it's in the other
Where are
room.
your keys?
I don't know. You were using them before.
Oh, shit. I like you, though.
This has all gone terribly wrong.
You have nothing to worry about. Nothing.
I mean, here's the deal.
This is
this is what I said to you while we were watching the movie. If I'm ever home alone and someone attacks me and I kill them by accident and I call you and you tell me not to talk to anyone or do anything until you get home, I'm calling the goddamn police.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair.
Which Gwyneth Paltrow does.
Yes, she does.
In A Perfect Murder.
Yes.
But Grace Kelly does not do that.
She does not do it, and that to her detriment.
Nope. So you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at AdaptCast. And if you tweet about the show, don't forget to use the hashtag AdaptCast. We're also on the web at adaptorperishcast.com. You can join our groups on Facebook and Goodreads, and you can also find and follow me on Letterboxd. If you have anything to say that's longer than a tweet, you can always send an email to adaptorperishcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to support the show, here are 2 great ways you can do it. First, tell a friend. Second, a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice would always be greatly appreciated.
I mean, this episode was highly irregular, of course, but my blood was up.
It did get your blood up.
It did.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.